Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like you saw in the thumbnail and title, we are going to break down the three major chip manufacturers, NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. On Thursday, I do like to break down the dollar, the Russell, the NASDAQ, the S&P, just kind of give my overall opinion on the market, kind of see where we're at. And it just seems that the questions just keep coming in. NVIDIA just seems to be unstoppable. Chips just seem to just keep going up. If tech's up, you just know, like you can almost just for sure look at NVIDIA and know, all right, that's probably why. It's just been holding things up. We've seen report after report of how many companies are using NVIDIA chips and how much they have on order. NVIDIA just can't. It's like when Tesla first came out, they just can't make enough chips to even supply half of the orders. So just technical analysis, a lot of this are kind of coming into like, hey, is this tradable? Should I just buy this? Is it ever going to pull back? So I'm going to answer all that. But let's breeze through this real quick and talk about the futures. Dollar, indecisive day for the last couple days, actually, as a matter of fact. Kind of hang out right here at this zone. We kind of had this. Oh, sorry. I drew this for this kind of range right here. It was a little bit early. So when you see this red line, we were kind of like awkwardly just holding right here. We kind of had that peak, and then we bounced, came back up, ultimately kind of just staying inside this zone right here. So Pepsi is a buy with the TSM earnings. I don't know we can look at Pepsi. No, midship is still going to be after this, guys. This is just going to be the futures real quick. As far as the dollar, so the dollar goes, dollar's been nothing. Bitcoin selling off, kind of like what we talked about. It's a zone until not, but I do think this zone will break. Again, if you haven't caught the previous live streams, I plan on buying down here, for sure down here. Or, let's say this zone does awkwardly hold and I start to see people hedging the dollar with Bitcoin. Ultimately, I am short the dollar. I will be short the dollar for some time. But if I see that action itself, then I will jump in regardless of where Bitcoin's at. As far as the Russell goes, this was the only trade I even had today. Was a Russell short, and it went well for a while. It tagged out. I made literally a couple bucks. It was this close to going short ES, but decided against it. Right now, we're just playing the back and forth game between these two zones. Speed bump zones, I decided to not fill in anymore. That way it's just yellow zones filled in. Blue, we got these right here. But we're playing the back and forth game. So sellers right here, buyers right here. As far as the expected move, we're flirting with getting outside of it, but then they rein it back in. And it kind of looks like the fireworks are done. I think we do have some news tomorrow. And let's just get to the calendar real quick. There's going to be a report in the morning. What do we got? Consumer sentiment, right? Yeah, consumer sentiment, existing home sales, Fed bar. People used to get excited about the Feds. I don't know. We'll see. So we do have some action in the morning. I doubt that those are market movers. I think the fireworks might just be done for the week. Did I get stopped out of the JPY trade? No, much higher time frame. It's likely that I'm not. I literally just got back in that trade. As far as the NASDAQ goes, are we getting above this range? Really? Is that happening? We talked about the highs and the lows right here. And last night, I even spoke about, it was last night and this morning, I talked about this price action in general, just looking like a stop hunt, a fake out, getting everybody excited. There was that range. When I see just that sharp sell-off, that V recovery, kind of tells me somebody wants something cheap. We went right to the expected move. This is a line I draw here on Sunday. So if you guys are ever curious, you want to watch me draw that live, just hit the subscribe button. Join me on Sunday when I go live, where we draw out these magic lines. Yeah, I call it magic. If you haven't stuck around long enough to know what they are, then to you, yes, they're magic. But we hit that, bounced right back off. And then this morning in the group, they were saying, hey, I kind of want to short this. I said I would actually wait, only because of yesterday's price action. Just kind of looked like let's get the bears excited and then rip the rug out from underneath them. Looks like we're flirting with all-time highs yet again on the NASDAQ. Ultimately, though, kind of staying sideways. This is the hourly, so not a lot's been going on. We've been since December 12th to now. We've just gone technically sideways. Let's see. This is the close above it. Let's see if we do send it. And largely, again, tech is just being driven. I mean, NVIDIA has just taken the wheel. As far as the expected moves, hanging out right inside. As far as the S&P goes, got a little bit outside. This is kind of what I talked about last night. Was we got just a little outside, brought it right back in. If you go to the daily, we actually closed the day, never actually breaking that range. Popped it right back up. We're right back here at this zone again. So we're kind of just hanging out again. Same story. Looks like December 14th we've been here. There's the 12th. Hanging out just sideways. Now, I got to say, the longer we stay, so right now I'm thinking weakness, we should sell off. I'm looking for it, but the more we stay sideways, the more I will switch that to be a bullish position. All right, let's keep it moving. Yeah, again, got right outside, reined it back in, stayed inside our expected moves. So nothing surprising this week, nothing we didn't already know about and do. Did I enter there? No, I did not. Today, I tried to buy back some of my Ford calls that I'd sold. They were $1. Tried to buy back. Some of them filled. It didn't completely filled. I did buy ARC G. I went ahead and just bought some shares. I was going to sell puts. Decided to go ahead and just buy some shares of this. This is a conversation I had with my group last night. This will be its own separate video. So if you guys are curious about my ideas and thoughts on the genomic space, it'll probably be tied into some of the AI videos I've been putting out. I'm simulcasting to both the Power Zone channel and Don Franz show. But on Don Franz show, there's been some AI videos coming out, and there will be certainly a lot more. I'll probably talk more about that and why I just had to start grabbing shares, even though, full disclaimer, that is just nothing but a channel down. Not typically what you want to buy. More on that probably in a different video. But that I did grab a little Palantir after the sell-off, and Rivian as well. But other than that, pretty boring day for me. Let's talk about NVIDIA. You can call it news, call it whatever you want. Every time there's like a new report come out, a new chip bill being passed, but we've sent it. So right now, we are outside the expected move. More likely than not, we take the rein it back in play. But if we catch a gap up in the morning, I think it's likely that we run that thing up to 585 tomorrow. But I would tell you, I don't think NVIDIA just sits still. I think it's 565 or 585. I do think it'll be one of those. As far as people asking me, like, is this a good time to buy for a longer term? I hate to say this because it's kind of been my answer for some time, is that I would just rather buy it on a pullback. I just don't like buying at highs like this. I like buying the red candle, especially my investment account. I say that's very annoying because of my whole investment account. NVIDIA isn't. I have a good chunk in NVIDIA. This earnings shot it up. I was like, I'll add on when it pulls back. And, even further back than that. NVIDIA was the one ticker I don't want to say never, for the longest time, did not add on to because I was just waiting for the pullback. I mean, when it goes from $140, now we're sitting at 570. Wasn't a whole lot. Eventually, when we started going sideways right here, I started adding on to NVIDIA, added much more onto my other positions, and it just looks like it's going to continue. But as far as the investment account, I do think anyone looking to buy this long term, there's no need to dive in the FOMO, but I will say, if I were to buy it right now, do I think in a couple of years it'll be higher than this? Yes. What I would like to do, just because I just want to scrape every penny that I can out of the market, if I just had to buy it now, because that FOMO is just getting to you, grab some now. And not just to add on for the sake of it, but have a set plan. If you're going to buy 10 grand total, maybe grab 5 grand now, 3 grand now, and when it pulls back, toss the other 5 to 7 grand. It'll bring your average down a little bit, make up for the buying at all-time highs, but you got to scratch that itch and kind of keep that FOMO at bay. You want to keep your emotions in check. As an investor, you shouldn't have any anyway. But the last thing you want to do is, let's take the 10 grand example, toss all 10 grand in there from 573 and it drops down to 500. And all of a sudden you're thinking that triggers any kind of emotion or panic. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I was wrong. I should take it all back. I need to close it now before it gets any worse. You end up making a stupid decision and you sell when it's down to someone like me that was going to buy it. So if you just have to have it, I guess again I would grab it, knowing that hey, if this pulls back, fingers crossed, I get to buy more later. Now, NVIDIA is leading because a lot of people are saying, I missed the boat on NVIDIA. Should I grab AMD or Intel? And AMD is trying its hardest to be like Big Brother NVIDIA. This is, I didn't come up with this, but it's the poverty NVIDIA. You know, if you're just too broke to buy NVIDIA, you can buy AMD, and it's performing pretty close to the same. It's trying to play catch up. While NVIDIA has just kind of cornered the market for AI chips and stuff like that, AMD has come up with some pretty impressive stuff saying, we're catching you. You know, you're not going to have this thing for long. So I do like that in terms of just growth in general. But, you know, we're also talking about investing and also the real world chips versus like the stock market. Again, right now, sitting right here at that zone, I would be watching out for a rejection. We're a little bit overbought. A pullback to a 140, I think, would be great. If it pulled back, I would sell probably a decent chunk of 140 puts. At least I get paid to get in the stock. Would mind that. Also, not FOMOing into this. I don't think I mean, if you guys even have any FOMO over the chips, do you really think it's just going to gap up to 200 one morning and you're just going to miss everything? Or do you think it's going to continue to go up and down like it has for some time? The stock market's not going anywhere until AI comes out and is self-aware. Then, yeah, the stock market's probably going away. But until then, you know, let's just pretend the world's going to keep spinning until it doesn't, you know? So right now, I think it's worth just waiting for a pullback. When it pulls back, when it is red, the puts get juiced up, sell the puts. Then you get paid, you get the stock. Bing, bang, boom. You win all the way across the board. Tesla is the redheaded stepchild, but a good buying opportunity. I do like Tesla. I did a little bit more Tesla investigating on the tweet. I was actually pretty upset, but getting a little bit more context to it, there was more to it than the screenshot I saw. But the whole Elon, where he was talking about how he just wants to do the robotics under a different company, would really piss me off for Tesla shares. Like, if it's publicly traded, I wouldn't mind. I would just move allocation over. But I do like Tesla. I just good buying opportunity. I do think it will be higher. The Tesla bot is absolutely insane, and I don't think people can really wrap their minds around it. But I also think it's pretty volatile right now. So we've talked enough about Tesla on this channel, and certainly there'll be way more. But if you can't handle that volatility, maybe just a chip manufacturer like this might be a better play. As far as Intel goes, as far as performance wise, percentage wise, Intel I think might surprise. If Intel catches up, wants to play the catch up game, it's got a lot of ground to cover. What I do hate, what other people say is, let's say there's a sector doing well, and of that sector, there's a couple ETFs or individual tickers that just aren't performing, and people say, oh, it's going to play catch up. Oh, it's going to catch up to the rest of them. No, it most likely won't. It's most likely that way for a reason. You know, I hate the whole it's going to play catch up, so that's why I'm buying it. It's a very stupid thing to do. But I do think Intel. Now they've said some promising things, like they got stuff where their focus is at. I do think it's a good deal, not because I think they're going to play catch up and catch up stock. Intel is not going to run up in high five NVIDIA as far as the price goes, but percentage wise, what are the chances of NVIDIA going to $80? Or sorry, hopefully NVIDIA doesn't go to 80. Intel going to 80 versus NVIDIA going to 1100, 1200. It would be a lot easier to move Intel that much, but yeah, there's a reason why it's $46, not $570. Does all that make sense? We prefer the word affordable. Thank you. As far as the poverty NVIDIA, there is only one NVIDIA. That's kind of like Bitcoin and Ethereum. If I were to put these in a crypto standard, it would be NVIDIA would be Bitcoin, AMD would be Ethereum, Intel would be like Litecoin. It was almost there, yeah, but it's kind of like weird. People forgot about it. It's used a lot in transactions for like overseas, especially if you want to get scammed. Anyway, I do like Intel. I have a decent position in it. I've added this one quite a bit, only because it was almost non-existent as far as my account goes. It's one we've been trading. If you were following the growth account, last year we were in this. So we had puts right here, but we also had shares selling calls against it. So we were doing about everything you could on Intel, and it will be back in the growth account this year after we start over. We have started over. We're buying something else, and then we're buying. We got a list of stuff to buy. We got a lot. We need to hurry up. We have NVIDIA at home. It's hard to beat NVIDIA. Okay, so as far as the coverage goes, Intel, I think, is at least already on that dip, maybe hopefully putting in the higher low. As long as it stayed above that $44 mark, I think Intel is probably the better deal. I'm hesitant to say price wise. It's not just sitting at all-time highs. But again, to remember, there's two sides to every coin. There is a reason why NVIDIA is at all-time highs and Intel is not. So buying Intel right now would be to think you fully understand that, but you think, we are going to play catch up. It's going to be popular. There's going to be so much demand that people are just going to have to buy all of them. Like we just need the physical hardware. We don't care whose sticker is on it. Regarding Tesla on the chart, can you show us where you think the next move is? I'm waiting for a better deal below 200. What are your thoughts on Tesla's next move? Who in my mentorship screenshot my old Tesla chart where I had the blue candles on there? Because it was the 180 mark. Remember, I had the blue candles from here to the 180 mark. I do think we'll probably see a bounce around the $200 mark, the 195-ish area. That'll be a psychological level, and then people will talk about, the bears will be excited it's sub 200, but people all say, oh, it's sub 200, I got to get it. So I think that's the 200 mark. We instantly probably drop it to the 195. I personally think the 180 mark. That's where I'm going to start buying some more of it. And I'll worry about it when we get to the 180 mark. Anything else in between? Maybe it puts a higher low here. If it changes this trend right here and quits making lower highs, then I would probably start worrying about it adding on. But until that trend changes, I don't care if you're Stephen, Mark, Ryan. I don't care who's trying to sell me on the position. If this is going down, that means my money's going down. I'll just wait. I'll either wait for what I think is a good deal, or I'll wait for that trend to change. Once everybody else is buying it, then I got to jump on the gain train. Last but not least, I think I covered everything as far as chips go. Anyway, I have all three. If you're following me as far as my investment, there's a reason why I don't talk about my investments a lot, and that is because it's basically just tech. I am a big tech person. I think that the world is about to change. I think your tiny little brains couldn't fathom it. And not that I'm not calling you smart. I just think I have not heard a lot of bright comments from people on YouTube about things coming. It's concerning. The people in my group, they've probably heard enough of it, but I'm either going to be really right or really wrong. So careful on the allocation wise if you're just going to start loading up on stuff. Do you still believe the market as a whole will trend down? Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what I covered in the beginning, though. It's going sideways. I do think we could turn the ship around and head south, but the longer that goes sideways, the more my mind will start to change. Could I check out Brent Oil? Is that like his first and last name? UK Oil. Is there a ticker for that? UK Oil. I'm gonna go with that. Brent. There we go. This just looks like our oil. It's already zoned out. Oh my gosh! I just realized. I was supposed to buy oil right here. I do blame. There's two people in my chat that I'm blaming right now, Lisa and Cody. Cody for my alerts. Lisa, she and I were supposed to hold hands. We were going to sell some puts, and I was going to go long an oil contract. Slipped my mind. That would have been a great zone. The reason why I was bullish oil and why I was going to sell a put contract on the futures CL was because of what's going on overseas. I think it's cheap enough at a level to catch that knife. Also, I've said this multiple times. I don't think we're going to just toss a bomb and all of a sudden find 3 million barrels of oil. I think it's likely that something happens overseas could spike things up. Whether it affects it at all or not doesn't matter. I still like the deal right here, and I think it could turn around. But if anything were to happen, it's not going to bring oil down. Again, we're not just going to start tossing bombs and missiles and strike oil. So I thought if anything, it would pop up. So I felt pretty comfortable going long oil right now. Lisa says, sure, blame me. We were supposed to do this. Where were we at? Did you do it at least? She's in the chat right now. We can't forget that. I need another red day, and then we're gonna sell some puts. We're gonna buy some oil contracts. We're doing this. But, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to, right at the 20-minute mark, we're going to wrap that up here. We've covered the dollar, the Russell, the NASDAQ, the S&P, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, the chips as a whole. Talked a little bit about Tesla and oil. So if you like more of this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're here on Sunday. I will see you guys all there. Midship, don't worry, we're still doing the Zoom session later. But for the YouTube session, we're going to wrap this thing up. I'll see you guys all on Sunday. Have a good one.